Community News and Event Network. This three-part series explores the allegations of neglect and improprieties of housing authorities. The focus of today's program is the Statesville Housing Authority in Statesville, North Carolina, and their FSS program.
Amen. You know our needs. Amen. You know what we're striving to do, Lord. Lord God, we know you are able. Amen. And you're going to take control. Amen. Amen. All we got to do is just put it in your hands and let you work. Amen. Lord, I just thank you for letting the ones that's here, amen, to be able to make it out. Amen. The ones that's on their way is not here. Amen. Give them traveling mercy. Amen. Make this meeting be a success for everyone that's here. Amen. That we may grow stronger in number and in strength. Amen. We come to you as humble as we know how. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Let this be counted done. Amen.
Amen. Again, I want to thank everybody, and we will be having a few speakers tonight. The first speaker tonight will be Cynthia Walters. She is a resident of Statesville Housing Authority, who is also a FSS participant that was wrongfully done. So she's going to tell her story, and it's very important that we be able to tell our story, because if we can't tell our story, then we can't get the word out there. No, change will not come if we're silent. So we can't be afraid. We must stand up and speak out for what's right. So we're going to pull the covers off of what's been covered up for so many years. And now is the time to do it. Now is the time. So we're going to have Cynthia Walter come up to speak. Thank you, Cynthia.
Hey, I'm Cynthia Walters. I've got a lot of stuff that's happened through the last, I think I've been in housing for about 4 years now, almost 4. And I'm going to start at the beginning though. At the beginning when I entered into housing, Congresswoman Fox, she's over housing authority. I said, well, how do you know that? And he says, well, I've heard it on the news. So I Googled it, researched it, got the phone number, called her office, got a hold of the secretary. And the secretary was like, well, we're over housing authorities, so there is somebody over them. So that's not true. So, of course, they had more power than I had, and they called out to Tennessee, and they researched and found out the housing authority never even ran my social security number. They just put my name on the list and all that stuff immediately, as soon as Fox's office called them. Well, then I went to the little introduction to housing, telling us all the rules and stuff, and when I got there, she was there. And according to some of the people that had been in housing and went to those meetings, she had never been there before. And so I asked her, I said, well, why are you here? If, is there a reason why you're here? Is it because I wrote Fox's office? Oh, no, that has nothing to do with it. No, yes it did. That's why you were there. That was a lie. Interesting. I ended up moving in. At the time, I was a CNA, working out in Harmony, struggling, single mom, no child support. And I always thought rent was just so high. Like, it was always, I was barely meeting to pay every bill. Couldn't buy deodorant, shampoo, conditioner, cleaning supplies, toilet paper, struggling. Trying to figure out how to pay for these things. Going to food banks, and then finally I ended up getting help with food stamps, and then it was just constantly through the month. So then, while I was living in the unit, one of the first encounters that I had with, they don't help with fixing units and doing what they're supposed to do. And so I ended up stopping. I stopped calling and telling them the issues that I had and fixed it myself. Because the first thing that happened was I hooked up my washing machine, and every so many weeks, it would like back up and flow into my kitchen, into my dining room, everywhere. And I'm kind of old, they mildew, stuff sweating off the walls from years of whatever. And so anyways, so I would call and call. It was like they'd come out, pour this acid down in the drains to eat all that stuff up. And I was sitting there and I said to the guy, because it smelled like it was just burning stuff in there. And I was like, what is that smell? And he said basically it was acid, whatever they were pouring down in it. And if he touched it, it would eat it to his bone. It was so strong, so don't go around it, don't touch it. they would bring your clothes, anything that's cut, and then, light bulbs. I'm not even going into them light bulbs that you can't find anywhere to even do it yourself, and then they outrageously charge you for these light bulbs that I know don't cost that. And
loans and they're $5 per light bulb.
yeah, so, and it's like, and she says they're $5 versus what they charge us on our stuff, it's not $5. Yeah, $15 each for them light bulbs. And so like, and I'm not even gonna go into like, you know, the drains, how they're locked down. And then the bathtub would overflow because there's years and years of stuff down in there. And then you tell the maintenance people and they're like, oh, we fixed it, and they barely pulled anything out of it. And then 2 weeks later, it does it again. It does it again, it does it again, it does it again. But besides all that, and then I'm not even gonna go into the roaches, the bed bug situation. I've never in my life, growing up, let's see, I moved in there when I was like 29, something like that. I never had bed bugs in my life, roaches in my life, and my parents are pack rats, to be honest, and I'm surprised. But I've never been through that kind of stuff. And in the last 4 years that I've lived in that unit, I've had everything, from mice to roaches to bed bugs. But everyone at the FSS program, I did everything that they told me to do to try to be in this program and trying to improve myself and my situation and doing extra classes. And I got a job at Head Start and been working there almost 2 years now and stuff like that. So fast forward to now, they have decided to privatize my property, the housing unit that I'm in, so they're shutting it down. And they said that I was supposed to get a letter in November explaining everything, but we never got a letter about what was going to happen to our units. And so I'm actually going to go to the main office come Monday and see what's going on with that. So while the whole process of them privatizing, they're having to remodel our units. And they're having to, they ripped off the siding off our houses, they're going to replace our flooring and our cabinets and all that stuff. And I went to go lay down in my bed one night and I got bit by a brown recluse on my stomach. Well, it caused a bad infection and it caused a hole to be eaten into my stomach. And I had to go to the doctor. Well, when I addressed this with my property manager, she was like, well, that's not housing authority's fault, da 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 da. And I was like, well, I disagree because I feel like housing authority, as soon as they ripped that siding off, they should have knew to call in pest control and exterminate the whole unit, all of them that they did the siding for. So when they did that or whatever, when I addressed that with my property manager, she was like, well, that's not our fault, da 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 da, we can't control spiders, da 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 da. And I said, well, what you can do is you can reach out to my neighbors and tell them what happened to me and ask them, would you like an exterminator to come in and treat your units? She said, okay, I'll do that, da da da. Well, that was almost a month ago. I asked my neighbors, none of them has heard from them. I went up to the office yesterday and I said, hey, have you heard from any of my neighbors? No. Have you reached out to my neighbors? No, only one has reached out to us about getting treated for pests. Well, all of us got our siding ripped off. And if somebody else gets bit by a brown recluse and you knew it happened to me, it's going to be a lawsuit because another person is going to be saying, I got bit by a brown recluse, and they knew.
Not getting the answer, unfortunately, but then I requested again, I was able to get an answer. And my escrow, it was as of that moment, it was okay. And so anyway, you know the process you go through, you gotta go to your budgeting classes, you gotta do all these other classes. And so when I finally got towards the end, well, I was speaking with Andrea Green, and she noticed that I was missing a few months off of my escrow. So she contacted, at that time was my Shirley, was my FSS coordinator. Well, she told me she was gonna contact her, I'm not for sure if she did or didn't, about getting those things fixed. But let's fast forward a little bit. So, it was time for me to withdraw some money from my escrow account so I could pay off my credit. And prior to, no one knew about a rule that you can't request more than 50% of your escrow balance. That was not taught to me, it was not in our rules, no one mentioned it to me until they had to go through the process of calling my creditors. It was suggested that I use my escrow money to pay off credit, $507 off. She's like, you can use that money. It's even in her notes, it's in my notes that I have, where she wrote beside request a disbursement. So I get to my disbursement, I go and call the creditors like I'm supposed to, and got a total. So they told me they'll have a check by the end of a certain date. I think this was in April. So April rolls around, and at that time we had tax money. I already told her I don't mind using my tax money to, it's gonna benefit me because I want to buy a home soon. So April rolls around, the date done passed, creditors are calling, you said, we agreed upon this amount, we still ain't got a check. I'm like, well, I had to tell them it's coming from the escrow program, just bear with me. So I finally calling, no answer. Calling, no answer. So finally I went to Kathy. I called her, and she was still nasty. She was nasty. I'm not fond of her. Her whole aura is just wrong. Yeah. So she was like, well, first off, it ain't your money. It's not your money until you graduate. And I was like, okay, well, from my understanding, it's our escrow, and if it's in our account, we can request a disbursement. So evidently, I can use this money while it's still in Housing Authority name to benefit me. So I'm like, what is the holdup? Mind you, I had talked to, at this time, my FSS coordinator was on medical leave, so she wasn't there, so I was being handled by Brianna Wilson, and then she couldn't give me an answer because she was new at the time, so then she referred me to Christopher. So Christopher, now mind you, this is over a month span, and I had talked to Andrea. I couldn't get a hold of Andrea, couldn't get a hold of Brianna, couldn't get a hold of Shirley, couldn't get a hold of nobody. Then I finally was able to get Kathy on the phone, left a message, she called back, and that was the discussion we had. And I still didn't really get a solid answer. When am I gonna get the check? And, what can I tell my creditor? So Christopher called me and was like, well, actually, Brianna, I got a hold of Brianna, and Brianna walked to Christopher's office. So Christopher at that time told me, well, as of right now, you can't request more than 50% of your escrow, so what you're asking for is more than 50%. So they're not gonna do your disbursement, or they're gonna do a partial disbursement of what you're requesting, and they'll pay a larger part of your bills. And so I was like, I went through a hearing, because they paid, wrote a check, paid off one portion of the credit. Went to a hearing because I felt that's unfair. You tell us to get in this program, you tell us I went to my classes, I went to everything that I needed to do, but when it was time for you to do something in return, then it's X, Y, Z, this, that, and third, excuse after excuse. So me, I know we got a hearing, not knowing that their hearing officer is an in-house hearing officer. So automatically you going inside of this thing one-sided. You're not gonna win, it's not fair, it's in-house officer. If you're gonna do appeal, I feel like you should hire an outside person to administer that, that hearing. So, make a long story short, went to the hearing and told them like, if it was me who was negligent on my behalf, and I think I could understand why you couldn't help me. I said, but it seemed as though when you do wrong, we pay for it anyway. When I do wrong, we pay for it. So how is that fair? Every time somebody doing something, the person is always paying for it. Y'all is not never held accountable to anything. And I said, it's not fair. And so I stated my case, got a letter in the mail, here also of course denied it. She's in-house, I didn't know she was in-house. And so I felt that was, part of my goal. So my goal is to get my credit together and to become free home ownership. And so in order to have free home ownership, you gotta have good credit, So you're not even helping me accomplish the goals that we set forth from the beginning. This is in my original contract. So I kind of chucked it up and was like, whatever. And then fast forwarded to this. So even through all that, she was like, well, since you asking for so much, why don't you just graduate out? And I was like, I don't want to do that because I have plans. Like my plan was to, continue to pay rent, hopefully buy a home, build it up. I can use my money to be a down payment, furnish my home, anything I wanted to do with my money, But throughout the process, I think 5 different people told me it's not your money until you graduate. So And at that point, I got irritated, and I even told him in the hearing, I know it's not my money, but at the end of the day, this is what you tell us. And now all of a sudden, this rule, it was a new rule, that they said that the FSS coordinators was supposed to tell us what they did. It's not like in the book or anything, it's just what you have your white, your gray area. When they called us for the meeting, y'all, if you was in there, you already knew they came in there with a formality. We just gonna say we have this meeting because we gotta address this meeting, you know? And so they were mad at me through the grapevine. They say I initiated the turnaround of the meeting. I don't know how, but whatever. And they said that because I brought up the escrow, because you know that's the real reason why we're here. And so I asked him, why is it that, you know, if you found that you was doing something in error, then why don't you, with the new applicants coming in, that would just be the right thing to do, you know, follow the protocol that you should have, follow the ones that was before your new rules, you gotta just set, because it's a contract. That's just like if you had bought a car and they say, well, you have a 6-year warranty when you go in, then something's break on your car, oh, well, the dealership called you back, well, we noticed you made an error on your paperwork. Instead of having a 6-year warranty, now you got a 2-year warranty. That's not my fault, that's your fault. So now you gotta pay for my part, because it's your fault, you know? But it's, to me, I feel like they never hold themselves accountable for anything that they do. It's always an excuse, even with Kathy, when it's like, if y'all was at the meeting, she said, if we want to know our escrow requested, didn't she say it? Now, they can't even give our escrow out until the end of the year, which is in December. Why is that? Why can't we, you know our escrow until the end of December if at the meeting you tell us one thing, but then when you get behind doors, it's another thing. You know, so, I mean, it's like too many different things, and to me, I feel like, honestly, I just, like I told Denise, I feel like if it don't fit for us, at least we can make it fit for somebody coming up. You know what I mean? Like, I know it seems like there's not a lot of support, and I do apologize for not being here at the last meeting, but we had a family emergency, so it was last minute. But I feel like, and I have heard too, that you have 90 days, if you're refusing to pick up your check, they're gonna give you 90 days. If you don't pick that check up in 90 days, they're gonna void it out and put it back into their pot. And they're just gonna say that you refuse to pick your check up. So now this is up to you guys. What I told the meeting is, if they're offering you a check, take it. And you can write, when you sign your check, write a note beside, I don't agree with the amount, but I'm investigating this further. You know, so therefore you don't lose anything. Now, when you go to court, if you get a lawsuit, I feel like you're going to court, you're gonna have a lawsuit, and you wanna get what is owed to you. But you don't wanna have to lose something in the process, you know, because it is not accurate. And the way they're playing it is they're playing it like, you know, a lot of us just talk, we don't know what we're talking about. So I thought that was kind of wrong, and I just wanted to put it out there, and you can do what you want to do. If you want to sign your check and get your check, you can get it. If you don't, then hey, it's, you know, each individual.
It's an appointment for.
Right, the 1%.
We gotta let Nisa speak. Nisa is the one who didn't get any of her money.
What?
They handed her a certificate and say, job well done. You successfully completed the program, and gave her a piece of paper.
Bruh, I would've tore that one.
No, that's not it. I'll show y'all. But
They didn't give you a whole sheet of paper.
so I'm gonna make this really quick. I'm from the islands. I'm from the Barbados. So when I came into housing, I was working on getting my citizenship. My permanent resident card. So I could not work. One of my goals, Ms. Shirley, was to get that green card. I successfully completed that, and I got my green card in April. May 1st, I got hired on at Cookout. That's how quick I went out there and got a job. Because I was like, hey, I want to put money into this escrow account as fast as possible. So, with the fact that I have not worked for a whole year, I was on that earned income disallowance. I'm not sure if y'all know about that. But you pay like a flat base rent for the whole year. And mine was $51. So I came into the FSS program at $51. And after that full year, they stagger your income, well, your rent up until it meets your income allowance or whatever. My goal was to be a nurse. It's still my goal. Right as soon as I got my green card and I went out there and got a job, I went straight out and enrolled in a CNA program. And I stick to my book. My program was at the Goodwill Resource. I lived on the second lane. I was putting it every single day across there. In the winter time too. I didn't care. I was walking to make sure I did what I had to do. I got my CNA, and my next goal was to go to Mitchell to get my associates in nursing. Now Mitchell is all the way across town. I can't walk there every day. So what I decided was, hey, I'm out of school now. Let me work a little bit extra so I could buy me a car. While I was out of school, I worked a couple overtime, saved up my money, got me a little raggedy car to get from point A to point B. And then I went back to school, so I went back to being part-time. The whole time, I've been doing my goals. If anyone knows, nursing is a 2-year program, and that's if you apply full-time. And that's taking a lot of courses. I can't do that with 2 kids and work.
You have to
So-
also do prereqs.
It's right, but you can enter the program straight in. I did not do that with 2 kids, so I broke it up. I started with my prerequisites and everything like that to stagger myself up. Fast forward to now, they called me in, they sent me a letter October 24th to come in, discuss my FSS account. Okay, I went up there, Miss Kathy and this other white lady, I forgot her name, sitting in there. And they're like, well, first, you know,
Was it Joan?
I believe so, the account lady.
hearing officer too.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So she was like, well, first, we want to congratulate you, you completed the program. And I'm just like, completed the program? I still have till next June to go. And they're like, well, whenever you enter the program, you were on earned income disallowance, so you didn't make money for a whole year. But within that year, you obtained full-time employment at Cookout, so you don't have no money in your escrow. And then she handed me this pretty little certificate. And as you can see, I went into that appointment October 24th. This certificate was dated for October 30th. So they already knew what they were planning.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm trying to ask her to explain this because I really don't know what's going on. I had over $6,000 in my escrow and still half a year to go. Well, 9 months to go. And basically, she just looked at me like, well, we had some auditors come in and people were making complaints about the program, so we had to audit the program, and this is what came back, and yeah, so you don't get nothing.
Have you ever got a request to show how much your escrow was?
Oh, yeah, I was
beforehand?
keeping up with all of my paperwork that Miss Shirley gave me. That's why the last one, it was like $6,299. But,
You don't move.
yeah, but, so I asked her, like, what was the reason behind all this? Her excuse was because I worked full-time back in 2016 in Cookout. I'm like, well, I was making minimum wage. That's not self-sufficient. I have 2 kids.
Yeah.
I had no job experience because when I came to this country, I was a teenager. So when I started at Cookout, they started me at minimum wage because I had no experience. So you're gonna assume that I'm self-sufficient with 2 kids for $7.25 an hour? I would never get up out of housing with that kind of income. I was working overtime when I went in the summer, trying to make up that money to buy me a car. And even working almost 50 hours a week, my paycheck was looking like $300 and some dollars. Yeah, so I really couldn't understand what they were talking about. And I called Brianna Wilson. And she told me she was gonna set up an appointment with me, Darver, and Kathy. That was October 24th. I have not got that call back. That meeting, I called and left voice messages. They are not answering my phone calls. They're not calling me back. So, we heard through the grapevine about that meeting on October 29th. Well, I'm in there, but I wanna know what's going on. And Jacoby and the other young lady next to her would know, we were at that meeting. And as soon as Jacoby spoke out, I was like, okay, well, I mean, I got some questions for Miss Kathy too. And I asked her the same thing. How am I self-sufficient on $7.25 an hour? Her response was, speak to your coordinator. There's a letter outside, sign up to speak to your coordinator.
It's still ain't got nothing. She was so nonchalant and nasty with it.
All of them were.
I could've took her there.
Yeah.
That's how
And you
bad
could have
she
seen,
was.
like, if she could burn a hole in my soul with the way she looked at me, she would have.
She didn't care.
They better thank God for change.
And I went out
I'm
there.
telling you.
And I said, okay,
They
Miss,
better thank.
yeah. I said, okay, Brianna, I'll sign up. And I went out there and I signed up. I still have not got a call back about that. And I even called. I said, hey, I signed up for this meeting. What's going on? Nothing.
Did you get a response from it?
Never.
They didn't
They
answer?
are like ducking and dodging me.
Just pop up.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But when you pop
But if you
up,
pop up, they
they
will
got
say
so
it's-
spaced in her
Yeah.
Don't work there. The one that helped me don't work there. She still work there. I work there.
Y'all can see, like, I did everything.
Now, how
These are all the certificates that I got.
UNP, your community news and event network.